You're listening to After the Review.
After the review.
After review, the ruling on the field is confirmed.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is After Review. I'm your host, Peter. And wow, let's get into it. Week 10 of the NFL was a great week. We just wrapped it up. And we have a leader in the clubhouse for Play of the Year.
Shotgun. Murray out of the pocket. 7 seconds. 6 seconds. Murray heaves it downfield. It is. Oh, it's caught. It is caught. DeAndre Hopkins. Miraculous. It's Murray magic.
Yes, the Hail Murray out in the desert. Kyler Murray connected to DeAndre Hopkins with 1 second left on the clock to win the game 32-30 over the Buffalo Bills. Tough loss for the Bills. Bills were looking to go 8-2, be in firm control of the division, but Kyler Murray just worked his magic. The Hail Murray, they're calling it. You love to see it. Hopkins over 3 guys in the end zone. Huge win for the Cardinals, seeing that the Seahawks lost to the Rams. So that division is now wide open in the NFC West. And I tell you what, every week you like Kyler Murray more and more. He's feeling like he's starting to get some momentum here for MVP. I don't know. It's going to be close, but he's playing great. The Cardinals are playing great. They're in first place in the division technically right now. Them, the Rams, and the Seahawks all tied at 6-3. So it's going to be a massively tight race down the home stretch. And guess what? They got the Seahawks this week in Seattle on Thursday night. So the next game we're going to see, Seahawks-Cardinals. I'll be interested to see what the layover is for the Cardinals. Young team, huge upset win like that. I guess not a huge upset, but, huge miraculous win like that. It's big time. They really needed that win coming off the loss to the Dolphins at home. Couldn't afford to lose 2 in a row at home in the tight race they are with the NFC tightening down. So, huge win. Again, really tough loss for the Bills. You feel for them. But I think they should bounce back. The AFC East is not very strong. But again, Bill O'Brien, you got to shout out Bill O'Brien for this is going down as the worst trade in NFL history. I mean, this is making the Herschel Walker Cowboys-Vikings trade look like reasonable. You gave up this man, DeAndre Hopkins, for a beat-up old running back who doesn't play and a second-round pick, third-round pick? I don't even remember it was that bad. It's just completely embarrassing. DeAndre Hopkins is third in the league in second in the league in receiving yards? Second in the league in receiving yards, has 4 touchdowns. I mean, good God. He's been on a tear. And I can't even tell you what David Johnson's done running the ball. I mean, he's not anywhere close to the top 20, top 30. Oh, here he is at the bottom of the page rushing. He's rushed for 400 yards. Wow, massive production out of your running back you just traded for. So it has to go down as the worst trade in NFL history right now. DeAndre Hopkins is literally leading this Arizona offense. I mean, Kyler Murray's great, but they needed D-Hop out there. They wouldn't be able to win the games they're winning without him because Arizona has absolutely zero run game with Kenyon Drake. The only run game they can speak of is Kyler Murray, who is an absolute freak running the ball. But it's a lot of quick stuff, a lot of scrambles, so they don't have any sort of running game to establish. And the defense is not – it's been so-so for Arizona. I mean, again, you gave up 30 points to the Bills, who did – they scored right before that with 30 seconds left, thinking they had won the game. And, the trade is working out for them great. Other trade, Buffalo Bills, Stephon Diggs. Diggs leading the league in receiving. That's another trade that's working out great for them. But on the contrary, at least the trade with the Vikings seems to have worked out for both teams. The Vikings got Justin Jefferson, and he's leading the rookies in receiving yards, and he's been absolutely dominant. So I think both teams are very happy with that trade. One of the few trades you can see on the other end where it worked out for everybody, which is what the idea of every trade has to be. But, yeah, it's rare you see that. Normally, you see a lot of Bill O'Brien, DeAndre Hopkins, Houston Texans trades that are a complete disaster. And, that's how it is. Other big news, Drew Brees down for a couple weeks. Drew Brees has multiple fractured ribs and a punctured lung after an MRI scan on Tuesday. Took a violently brutal, vicious hit. I'm kidding. It was one of the softest sacks I've ever seen. And they still managed to throw a flag on it because, of course, the NFL. We have to... Drew Brees is a little banged up, it looks like. Must be a flag. It was ridiculous. I mean, every quarter, even Steve Young on Monday Night Football was like, I feel really bad. Like, what is the defender supposed to do? It was just an embarrassment to the game. What else is new? The NFL really is not doing their best to, keep this thing fair. It's all playing towards the quarterbacks, especially their superstar quarterbacks. And that's so frustrating to see the massive inconsistencies that you get out of officials. Like, I saw multiple hits on quarterbacks this weekend, not going to name certain names. May have been my team, take a couple shots that they didn't draw any flags for. And if you were an elite quarterback, the flags would have been out all night. And it's embarrassing, the inconsistency. I don't think anybody... you obviously care a little bit about the softness of hits, but you just want consistency from crew to crew, from game to game. Okay, these are the hits that are going to get called. These aren't the hits that are going to get called. And we have absolutely none of that. It's a real shame. But what are you going to do? Drew Brees expected to be out. They're going to reevaluate in 2 weeks. Sounded like it might be a little bit longer time. So we're going to have Jameis Winston for the foreseeable future in New Orleans. Now, I don't think the Saints have that tough of a schedule coming up, so that's going to benefit them a lot. It's going to get down to the nitty-gritty. They have already beaten Tampa Bay twice, but they're both, Saints are 7-2, Tampa Bay 7-3, so the bye is going to be coming up here for the Saints. I believe they are they on the bye this week? I believe they're on the bye this week, week 11. No, they're not. So Saints still due for a bye here coming up. Jeez, they have a super late bye. But like I was saying, going to be a very, very tight race now in the NFC South. I don't know what to think about Jameis Winston in at quarterback. He's no Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy was with the team for 2 years, got those starts, and he was great last year. I think he went 5-0. He was with them. So that's a huge add right there. Let's see. Oh, geez, did they already have the bye? I guess they did. I must be missing it. Anyway. Oh, no, Tampa Bay needs the bye. Duh, that makes sense. Tampa Bay is the 7-3 team. My bad. So, yeah, their schedule's not great. They got Atlanta twice, who's been playing better. They got Denver. They got Philly. They got Kansas City, Minnesota, Carolina. Some of those teams are playing pretty well. So, they might be in trouble here in New Orleans because they're going to have to keep pace. The Buccaneers are not going to be losing games anytime soon. They look like they bounce back again. Huge day from Tom Brady and Ronald Jones Jr. against the Panthers. They got right back on track after getting smacked by the Saints. You wonder if the toughness of Tampa Bay is going to be able to hold up. The defense played a lot better, but it's always a big question mark. It's a huge question mark with this team in Tampa Bay. Can they be consistent? Can they play physical? And I just don't know. It feels like the jury's out on them still. I like them a lot. They're my Super Bowl pick, so I can't not support them. I feel like a homer. But I gotta be on them. But yeah, and then this is a super tight race everywhere. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 teams in the NFL that are 6-3. What? That's insane. There's so many good teams in the NFL this year. A lot of bad teams in the NFL. There are so many teams at the top, and there's nobody running away with this thing besides the Pittsburgh Steelers, 9-0 in the AFC. But the Chiefs are right on their tail. The NFC is so tight. 3 7-2 or 7-3 teams, a bunch of 6-3 teams, and then a couple teams 5-5, 4-5. Sniffing around there. It's going to be super interesting to see down the stretch who makes the moves to get into this thing, because there's a lot of dangerous teams out there that I don't think people are talking about that I wouldn't be surprised making a run here. We could talk about the Dolphins. Tua got another win, 3-0. Look at him, Tua time. They've won 5 in a row, the Dolphins. They're 6-3. They're right in the middle of this AFC playoff thing. They play great defense. They have a very good kicker. And the offense is good enough. It gets the job done. I really think the Dolphins are going to get in the playoffs here. Honestly, I think the team that's on the outside looking in the AFC is Cleveland. Baltimore 6-3, Pittsburgh's 9-0, so the division's out of the question for the Browns. The division's out of the question, so that's a playoff spot. Baltimore's ahead of them, so that's a team that they have to deal with. And, Vegas is playing really good. Tennessee's not playing as great as they should be. They started out 5-0, and now they're 1-3. Less than ideal their last 4 games, but still in it. It's just there's a lot of teams in the AFC right here. The Colts are going to win their division, the AFC South, it looks like. Them or Tennessee, going to be close. Buffalo, Miami, very close in the AFC East. Kansas City's got the West locked up. Pittsburgh's got the North locked up. So there's not a lot of spots for these teams here. And I think Cleveland's the most inconsistent of these teams. They had a very flat performance on offense again this week. They did manage to get the win. Screw you, Nick Chubb, hosing us and running out of bounds at the 1 yard line and not going in to go up 10 points just to cover. So screw you on my picks right there. I'm really pissed off at Nick Chubb. At least I don't own him in fantasy. If I did, I would have shot him. But that's a different story. They're just too inconsistent, Cleveland. Another home game, another lackadaisical performance against Houston's not good at all, and they beat them 10-7. That's really bad. Maybe it should have been 17-7. That's still not a good win at home. They struggle a lot. Baker does not look comfortable throwing the ball at all. The two-headed monster was back in the backfield at least. Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb both ran over 100 yards, which is what you love to see. But again, Baker was 12 of 20, 132 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. You're not beating anybody with a great defense in the NFL playing like that on offense. You're just not. Maybe if you have complete ball control, but you got to get into the end zone. You got to have the threat of throwing the ball. And, maybe that was just part of the game plan for, the Browns and Kevin Stefanski. I don't know. The Browns feel like the weak link in this group of teams that are 6-3. Vegas has been they don't care what their style is. They have no style. They just win football games. They just winning games. They've already beaten the Chiefs. They took care of the Broncos this week. They get the Chiefs again this week. So this is a very interesting rematch. If you could beat the Chiefs again, Vegas, you're pretty much a lock to get into the playoffs, I think. Their only loss was against Vegas, KC. So they're really going to be wanting to get this game. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Raiders are super competitive in this thing. I really like what I see from the Raiders. Derek Carr does a good job with the offense. The right kind of quarterback managing you like to see from a team. Strong run game, pound the rock, control the rock. The only issue with Vegas is their defense. I don't know if I can trust their defense. It's very inconsistent. They try really, really hard, but they're just not good enough to stop people, and that's going to bite you in the ass down the home stretch. You can tell already it's going to fade on them, but we'll see. Maybe I could be wrong. I'll be interesting to see. I do like Vegas. I love the Dolphins to get in, and the Ravens' bad loss against the Patriots, but Ravens-Browns might come down to Ravens-Browns getting to that last playoff spot in the AFC. All right, another huge disappointment this weekend was the Philadelphia Eagles. Jesus, God help me. I can't stand the Eagles offense. This is the most frustrating team to watch in football. They lost the game to the Giants 27-17, coming off a bye, the Eagles were. And they look so flat. Their play calling is atrocious. Carson Wentz is so inconsistent. It drives me mad. They managed to run the ball pretty well. Boston Scott had 63 yards. Miles Sanders had 85 yards. But they only ran the ball 18 times between those two. What are you doing? You got to run the ball more. Carson Wentz is throwing the ball 37 times for 208 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. What is that? That's so bad. They had a lot of bad snaps. I don't know what was wrong with Kelsey. The weather wasn't that bad. You don't see that too often. It was just a complete shit show from the Eagles. They couldn't muster anything on offense. They scored 2 touchdowns in the third quarter to make it interesting, but they couldn't manage another point the rest of the game. So, again, it's just what are they doing on offense? What is Doug Peterson doing? Was he a fraud? Was it this all Frank Reich coaching that Super Bowl run? The team doesn't seem cohesive. They don't seem to have a plan. The defense lets down in big spots. You're giving up 27 points to the Giants. The Giants scored a touchdown in every quarter. Every quarter. And then they kicked 2 field goals in the fourth. That's not good to one of the worst offenses in football. You can't be doing that. And I don't know where the Eagles go from here. That the division is a complete dumpster fire. Obviously, the NFC East, NFC least. They're still in first place technically at 3-5-1, but the Giants are sniffing there at 3-7. Man, they're hungry. Ooh, they're hungry. And then 2-7 football team, 2-7 Cowboys. Football team looked better this week with Alex Smith at quarterback, but they let in last-second 59-yard field goal to lose to the Lions. That pretty much ended their season, I would say. I don't know what the NFC East goes from here. The Giants are playing the best right now, but can you I don't think I can feasibly see the Giants winning this division. It just feels like the Eagles are going to win this division, but god damn, the Eagles are so frustrating to watch. I can't. The offense is so inept. And then they got Cleveland this weekend. Oh, great. Another two bad teams. Browns are going to get this win, I'm sure. But if the Browns lose this, I wouldn't be surprised because they're the Browns and it lets them down. Oh, man. I hate the Eagles. Just piss me off so much watching them play offense. They have no sort of cohesiveness. They have no rhythm whatsoever. It's a lot of knuckle dragging. It's a lot of pulling teeth. And, yeah, I just don't know. I don't know with the Eagles. But another team playing hot in the NFC. How about my Minnesota Vikings? 3 in a row. They're a long way from that 1-5 start they had. Took care of the Bears on Monday night. It was an absolute shit show. Kirk Cousins got his first Monday night win. Shout out to Kirk. They completely dominated this game, the Vikings, and they won this game by 6 points. They had how many turnovers? They had 3 turnovers, I believe, Minnesota. It was a complete shit show. Let's see. 1 pick, 1 fumble, and they gave up a kick return for a touchdown and missed an extra point. Still managed to win this game. Completely dominated. Dalvin Cook had 30 touches, only 96 yards. Kirk Cousins, 292, 2 touchdowns, a pick. The pick was not his fault. Adam Thielen just dropped the ball. Justin Jefferson, the young rookie, I told you, tore it up for them. The Bears managed to score 0 points in the second half. They had 2 first downs, minus the opening kickoff to start the half. They could do absolutely nothing. So Minnesota always plays bad in Chicago, but a huge win. They got the Cowboys this week coming off a bye. Ginger, Andy Dalton's back. Vikings win this game. They could roll off another 2 against Carolina and Jacksonville at home. And then they're 7-5, and they're right there in the playoff mix. And the defense is playing better. The offense is deadly. I knew this was going to be the issue. I hope they get in. We've won too many games at this point. We're not going to get a good pick. We need to just go in, try and make a run at this thing. The schedule's not bad. Like I said, you got the Cowboys, Panthers, Jags. You got the Lions and Bears still. The 2 tough games are at Tampa Bay, at New Orleans. Those are going to be what make or break your season. You got to win one of those 2 games, get you to 10 wins. If you win the games, you should. Very, very interesting matchup this week against the Cowboys. I'm a little nervous about the Cowboys. Maybe they'll be playing better off that bye. Who knows? But again, shout out to the Vikings. They are playing great football. They are fuego, and I don't know if everybody wants to play them in the playoffs because they got a little bit of experience there. But yeah, so week 11 games coming up. Like I said, great slate of games coming up this week. Like Thursday night, Cardinals, Seahawks. That's your first place in the NFC West. Cardinals won that epic game a couple weeks ago in Arizona. Let's see how Seattle rebounds from a pretty beat-up loss from the Rams. Rams pretty much controlled that game from start to finish and beat up on the Seahawks. And they've dropped 2 in a row now. They're showing their holes. They got a lot of flaws, this Seahawks team. Russell Wilson covers up a lot. And Arizona, might be riding a little high off of that win. So, very interesting game on Thursday night. Other big games, Titans, Ravens, both 6-3, both not playing good football right now for teams that are 6-3. There are a lot of other 6 teams playing a lot better than they are. So, kind of feels like a must-win for both teams just to cement themselves in the running to get into the playoffs and that they're a good team. I don't know what to go with it. The Titans defense is so bad, and the Ravens defense is so good. You got to lean Ravens on this one. The Titans don't do it for me. Their offense, another offense that pisses me off. They do not run Derrick Henry enough, but they score points, which is so confusing. It's just they're all over the place, the Titans. I don't know what to make of them at all. Packers, Colts, another huge game. At a conference, so lose a little spice, but love to see the Colts win this game just to, really say, hey, Colts are for real. Their defense is really tight. They play great defense. They make you drive the length of the field on them. Philip Rivers playing better. Philip Rivers is the weak point of this team on the Colts. No, he's not. He's definitely on the back end of his career, probably on hole 17 or 18. Another golf reference there. But Green Bay struggles with physical teams, and the Colts are a physical team. They're going to try and pound the rock against them. Great offensive line to get behind. Should be an interesting game. I'd start panicking if I was a Packers fan if they lose this game to the Colts in convincing fashion, because that'd be multiple weeks that they've been pushed around by physical teams, and they have not been competitive against them. Very, very suspect. And then Chiefs-Raiders, another interesting game. Chiefs only lost this year is Vegas for real, for real? If Vegas wins this game, they're for real, for real. Like, legitimate, competitive contenders, maybe. I don't think they can make a Super Bowl run this year, but you can beat anybody in the playoffs if you're beating the Chiefs twice, because the Chiefs are, the best in the biz, I believe. Even though they don't have the best record. That goes to Pittsburgh. You love what the Chiefs are doing on offense with Pat Mahomes. They're only throwing the ball 30 times a game. That's 15% less than the average in the league. That's all you can ask for. They're controlling the clock. They're playing great defense. Their defense has been lights out since the end of last year. Who would have thought the Chiefs? And they just picked up, it sounds like, DeAndre Baker after his suit got dropped, for former first-round pick of the New York Giants. So Chiefs just add more weapons to that team. They have a lot of players on that team. They're gonna be the tough out. They're kind of flying under the radar again because they're not undefeated. They're not Pittsburgh. It's amazing how the defending Super Bowl champs can kind of fly a little bit under the radar. And then the big game of the weekend culminates on Monday night. Rams at Buccaneers. 6-3 Rams, 7-3 Buccaneers. Huge game for both these teams. The Rams and the Buccaneers have both been as inconsistent as can be. Big win, big letdown loss. Big win, letdown loss. So you really want to see some consistency out of these guys. And both teams are coming off big, dominating win performances. Can they do it twice in a row? Both teams are physical as can be. The Rams up front they're a defensive team. The Rams, second fewest points in the NFL at 18.7 points a game. That's going to be an issue. I don't know if Tom Brady's going to be able to throw the ball against this Rams secondary. They are locked down corners. They press up, play tight man, and then they get that nasty pass rush from Aaron Donald. And if they're not getting the pass rush from them, they bring the heat. Rams defense is a complete handful to deal with. And the Buccaneers are going to want to run the ball, and you really can't run the ball against the Rams. It's going to be a tough matchup, I think, for Tampa. But on the other side, the Buccaneers defense got to play better. They play great against the run usually. They should throw that Rams offense. This could be a low-scoring 7-10 game. Maybe not. Both these teams are too good, and the lights are on the brightest, so we might find ourselves into the end zone. But very huge, interesting game on Monday night. I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. Huge playoff implications, like I said. Everybody's tight, man. I don't know. I don't really know where to go with my projections here for the playoffs. It's a super tight race. The only race that, even the NFC least is super tight. They're just going to get in to get smacked. But, Green Bay is going to win the NFC North, but there's two possible wild card teams out of there. Maybe Minnesota, Chicago can both go on a run here. Minnesota more than Chicago, it looks like. Their offense is falling apart. Obviously, Tampa and New Orleans, big time. And then all three NFC West teams, super tight. AFC East, you got the Dolphins and the Bills up top. The Patriots won this week. They're floating around at 4-5. Maybe they make a little bit of run here with Belichick. But it's looking like the Dolphins and the Bills. AFC South, Colts and Titans, both 6-3. Colts have the head-to-head right now after the win on Thursday against them. Then 9-0 Pittsburgh's going to win the North. But 6-3 Baltimore, 6-3 Cleveland, going to be hungry for those playoff spots. KC 8-1, 6-3 Vegas, but this could swing on a dime here. Vegas wins this week. They go to 7-3. Chiefs go to 8-2, and the Vegas has the tiebreaker with the two head-to-head wins. Could make for very interesting stuff here. We're getting to the point of the season where you usually have the division winners figured out, but not so much this year. Feels like it's going to be a very weird pandemic year. Super tight race down the stretch. I don't know. I'm excited to see where this thing goes. All right, other sporting news. Shout out to Dustin Johnson. Record-breaking Masters performance last weekend. Shot a 20 under for the weekend. Dominant, wire-to-wire finish, basically. Win the Masters. Congratulations to him. It's his second major. And just absolutely dominating performance. I'm thinking no crowd had a big impact out there. No pressure. He's been known to fold late in a couple of majors down the stretch, and there's a lot less pressure when people aren't watching you and the crowd isn't roaring when somebody's making a deep run against you. So shout out to him. Absolutely obliterated the course. You don't see that too often at Augusta. Like I said, course record 20 under for the weekend. And let's see what else. NBA draft tonight. It doesn't have the buzz that the NBA draft normally has because there is no superstar coming out. Maybe LaMelo Ball of, the Ball brothers could be the number one pick. Anthony Edwards out of Georgia, possibly to the Timberwolves. None of these guys feel like they have the juice like Zion had last year. So, it's something to watch for. And the NBA offseason's been a little bit exciting. Tons of trade rumors flying around. James Harden and Russell Westbrook both seem to want out of Houston. The Rockets just kind of failed with Harden, and Harden wants to go play for the Nets. I don't think that works. Unless the Nets can pass a rule where you can play with another basketball. Kyrie, KD, James Harden. Those are three super ball-centric people. KD least of the three of them. But Kyrie needs the rock. James Harden needs the rock. I mean, we got a rookie head coach in Steve Nash. I mean, if they get James Harden, give up their bench players, I could see this thing falling off the wagon and Kyrie's the player coach by February because he said we don't need a coach because he's a crazy person and the earth is flat. I think this would be a disaster move for the Nets. I like Karis LeVert a lot. I think you should keep him. He's a great scorer to complement those two guys. I think it's a lot of talk and hype, and a lot of times this doesn't seem to work out. Other destinations, possibly the Sixers. If the Sixers, I wouldn't mind giving up Embiid and trying something different, but I feel like they're going to try and keep those two together. Maybe you add Harden. Again, not a lot of ball to go around. And then Westbrook, who knows where Westbrook's going to end up. There was talks about Paul George for Westbrook straight up. I don't see that. They want to get rid of Paul George. I think the Clippers locker room is toxic. It's a lot of teams are getting desperate, it feels like. I mean, Milwaukee just traded away 5 first-round picks for Drew Holiday. Okay. And they gave up Eric Bledsoe's contract. I guess that's a benefit. Just trying to keep Giannis in town, it feels like. There's a lot of desperation here. They also traded for Bogdanovich from Sacramento. It's a nice ad. The only people that I love what they've done is the Lakers. The Lakers going to lose Rondo, it looks like, and they traded for Dennis Schroeder, and they gave up the 28th pick in a crap draft. So, great move, and they got rid of Danny Green's terrible shooting. So, I think the Lakers making the best move so far in the offseason. A lot of moving parts here. Teams are starting to feel desperate. I guess maybe because the season's turned around here in December. It's going to be the shortest turnaround in sports history for a league to get back going. We'll see. I don't think there's going to be a lot of juice from the draft tonight. Maybe worth the watch just to see who the first pick is. But, yeah, not a lot going on. The offseason will be interesting. I'm going to keep my tabs on the James Harden thing. I do think he's going to get traded. I just don't know where. He's demanding Brooklyn, and when you demand places, that almost never goes your way. Ever. And I think it'd be a bad move for the Nets to do that. I could see Philly trading for him, reunite him with Daryl Morey. They could. I hope the Sixers don't do something stupid and give up Ben Simmons for him. I'd be very upset if they did that. But who knows? It's the damn Sixers. They're never correct on anything they do. It's just a roller coaster with that team. But yeah, short week this week. I think that's going to do it for us this week. Remember, check out the podcast, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you all next week.